I want to share how we're running our Autopkg recipes at Gusto using GitHub Actions. First, some background. GitHub Actions is a CI/CD service offering Windows, GNU Linux, and macOS runners charged per minute of runtime. Paying for hosted CI runners is nothing new, but as far as I'm aware, GitHub Actions is the only CI service that offers macOS runners billed by the minute. Prior to moving our Autopkg builds to GitHub Actions, we ran our Autopkg recipes on a dedicated machine that was hand-built and manually updated. This is like taking care of a houseplant. Things were mostly fine day to day, but required regular maintenance and someone needed to watch it if you went on vacation. Any upgrades to the base OS or Autopkg required careful testing and a rollback plan. Interacting with the box was a bit of a pain too. You had to get on VPN and VNC into the machine, and because that was such a chore, we barely used package trust overrides. We couldn't get our desktop support team interested in reviewing and adding recipes either, because we had no review process and everyone was afraid clicking the wrong button would cause the machine to explode. GitHub Actions lets us create new macOS machines on demand. To continue the houseplant analogy, we can have an orchard of macOS VMs. This new process has been in production since December without any hiccups. We're pretty happy with the results, especially since we were able to retire a Mac Pro. It currently takes about an hour to run through 89 recipes. We get 50,000 runner minutes free with GitHub Enterprise, but since no other teams at Gusto are using GitHub Actions, our Autopkg builds are effectively free. Though if we had to pay, it would be about $40 a month. I'll talk later about some optimizations we can make to bring the cost and runtime down to about a tenth of that. So what does this look like? Every morning, a new runner checks out the latest version of our Autopkg overrides, installs Monkey in Autopkg, and then clones all upstream recipe repos we use. This gives us an identical working state each time, while allowing our trust overrides to fail if there have been upstream changes. My teammate Harry Sieber rewrote Facebook's Autopkg tool scripts, which iterates over a list of recipes, pushes successful builds into a separate GitLFS repo, and posts the build results to a Slack channel for later review. We can update build dependencies with a single commit. And changing existing recipes or adding new ones is done through pull requests, which gives us a history of how packages ended up in our Monkey repo. We can also look at run logs and try to speed up builds. There are some things to note when using GitHub Actions, however. GitHub releases can be changed after publishing, which can make your build environment change without any indication. If an Actions repo gets compromised, a tag could point to malicious code. We pin the SHA-1 commit hash for Actions instead, since both Git and GitHub have robust protections against SHA-1 collisions. You probably don't need the entire version history of your recipe overrides either. Only pull in the latest commit from your master branch. And if you're using GitLFS, only pull the file pointers, not full installers. The third-party Actions ecosystem is a lot like the early days of Docker Hub or NPM, where one-liners were turned into packages. There are a lot of third-party actions that do silly things like run git push, when you can just run the command directly. Using too many actions will make your jobs harder to debug, slow down your builds, and melt the ice caps faster. While it's tempting to use a bunch of actions to create pull requests or tag issues, since each GitHub action creates a temporary API key, you can use curl or your language of choice to interact directly with a GitHub API. These runners are expensive compared to something like AWS. For the hourly price of a macOS runner, you could get a Debian EC2 instance with 96 CPU cores and 384 gigs of RAM. The Ubuntu runners cost 10% of what the macOS runners cost. So try to run cross-platform tasks like repo clean on Ubuntu runners. Even then, try and keep your jobs as short as possible and use timeouts to kill VMs after a certain amount of time has elapsed. This will protect you from a zombie process running all night. There are a few things we can do to improve our Autopkg build process. First, storing the last modified headers from the URL downloader processor to avoid unnecessary installer downloads. Taking this morning's run as an example, 81 of our 89 recipes downloaded binaries, verified code signatures, and ended up not importing them because the same version already existed in Monkey. This wastes CPU cycles, bandwidth, and probably coal-powered electricity. Retrieving cached last modified headers from S3 would reduce our runtime to 10% of our current workflow. We're hoping to submit a patch upstream addressing this soon. For code signing, I'd like to add our developer cert as a GitHub Action secret so we can sign packages like Monkey tools. But stamping our approval on unreviewed code scares me a little bit, so I haven't tackled it yet. Linting overrides. We can trigger GitHub action runs by opening pull requests, which will allow us to run checks on any newly added or modified recipe overrides. For build tests, since we can easily spin up a new macOS instance, it'd be cool to check if the download packages actually install a test machine before importing them into our Monkey repo. And as Gusto hires more employees, we'd like to make our update process more consistent and predictable by setting forced install dates on certain days of the week. You can find more examples of our workflows, like our weekly Monkey repo clean job, on our team's public GitHub repo. We're really excited about other ways we can use GitHub Actions. We started running our Terraform workflows through GitHub Actions, and maybe we can even move our Chef Cookbook test to GitHub Actions once we get MDM enrollment figured out. If you're interested in working on these sort of infrastructure projects, my team is hiring, and you can find out more about that at gusto.com/careers.